Welcome back, and let's take you back to one of our top stories. Is gang-related violence out of control in the Western Cape, and is there enough political will to tackle the senseless killings of innocent people in and around that particular area? To help us understand some of these questions is a criminologist, that's Don Pinnock, who joins us via Skype. Mr. Pinnock, thank you very much for your time. What's your sense of what actually is going on in the Western Cape? Between November last year up until May this year, 2,000 people killed as a result of gang-related violence, we understand.
When I started working on gangs around 30 years ago, it was sort of theatre with knives, and now it's war with guns. It's really getting out of control. There, I think, are two reasons for that. And the one reason is that situations are getting harder and harder for young people in the poorer areas of the city. They have a lousy education, or they drop out of school. They have no way of earning money. And gangs are very attractive. It's often the only way to get any credibility, get any money. That's been an ongoing situation, and books have written about how the social conditions give rise to gangs. The other side of that is equally problematic, is that the police, there appears to be kind of chaos within the police force. There's two gang units that seem to work against each other. The conviction rate against the arrest rate in South Africa is something like 5%. So 95% of people who get arrested are probably going to get off. And the other issue is that there are far too many guns. That, you know, if there were only knives, there'd be 1/3 of the problem. Still a problem. But the court case that's been going on, and the issues around General Jeremy Very and Peter Jacobs, who were taken off a case of police guns that were supposed to be decommissioned, thousands of those got sold back to the gangs. And then they were taken off that case, which should have been followed up. So the police are also complicit in the amount of guns on the streets. We really do have a problem of weaponry linked into poverty, linked into young people who often don't have fathers, who have a family situation which is very difficult, an education system which is not good, and they're poor.
Albert Fritz says that he is considering declaring a state of emergency. What's your sense of the working relationship between the province's law enforcement, and of course national? And we all know here that the police are under one authority, if you like. The Western Cape has been proposing some kind of independent police authority in that province.
I would like to know more what he means by a state of emergency. Does that mean we militarize the situation, bring in the army? There have been calls for the army coming in. The problem I have with that is that the army is not trained, really. They're trained to fight wars. They're not trained to deal with social situations. They will lock down and shoot, and the gangs will lock down and shoot back. And I do worry about an escalation in that situation. I've been part of a process that the province has been putting together, a very complex, that took over a year of workshopping to come up with a plan for gangs, what to do. It's a roadmap for gangs. The Department of Community Safety has that report. I don't know what they're going to do about rolling it out. There are plans, there are provincial plans on the table to do something about it. There's a national anti-gangsterism strategy, which the provincial strategy took off from. So there are these plans in place, but now we need really clear-headed implementation. And it's not just about taking out gangsters. It's about the whole social conditions that give rise to a state of considerable desperation among young people.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, with those guns, 12-year-olds are walking around the streets with 9-meter parabellums in their pockets. That's a very, very dangerous situation, and that's leading to war-level casualties.
Just very briefly, Don, in this final question to you, is there political will to resolve this situation in the Western Cape, and We all know that the Western Cape province is run under the DA-led government. Is there a good enough working relationship between national and that province?
That's two questions, really. About the political will, there is a big conference coming up next weekend in the Western Cape, called, I think, by the Minister of Police to look into the high levels of violence and into policing. So that indicates a level of political will. There is also the report that was put out by province, by docs, to look into the gang situation. So there are moves to try and deal with that. It's just the implementation and whether we have the organizational ability within the social systems within the province to actually take this to a stage where implementation starts happening. We know what to do. Are we able to put money to that? Are we able to have the political will to do that? I don't know. I'm waiting with bated breath to see the next steps, but we have to do something. It's getting desperate. It's getting out of control.
Don Pinnock, thank you very much for those insights. He is a criminologist joining us via Skype in the Western Cape.